Fujifilm just announced the 18mm f1.4 lens. Let's check it out. So for the size of this lens, it's actually going to come in at maybe a little taller than, say, the 16mm 1.4. It is still a really compact lens. It's not that heavy either. Overall, I gotta say this fits very nicely on an X-T4. My time shooting with this was quite nice. I really did enjoy it, and I would actually like to add one of these to my bag here as soon as I can. The image quality of this lens is great. I found it sharp wide open at minimum focus distance, and overall, I'm just really happy with it. As you can see up on the screen right here, I shot this at minimum focus distance. It's sharp wide open. And you get that really nice fall off, the great bokeh. Fujifilm does note that this should have minimal chromatic aberration. It is a design that they built into the lens, and I haven't really tested it, but I didn't see any issues of it popping up. But granted, I never really shot into the sun a particular way where you would notice it, but yeah, overall, I didn't really notice any. The minimum focus distance on this lens is quite impressive. It can focus as close as 20 centimeters, which makes this lens quite versatile. And when shooting wide open at 1.4, the lens is still sharp at its closest possible focus. With its ability to focus so close, the out of focus bits of the image go quite dreamy, making for some really beautiful bokeh. The little bokeh balls are nice and round, and when stopped down to f16 for instance, the lights have a really cool starburst look. The lens is designated as a WR lens, meaning that it is weather resistant against the elements, making this an awesome lens for travel and documentary work. I haven't personally tested it, but I'll go ahead and take Fujifilm's word on it. Another cool addition to this lens over, say, the 18 f2 that was announced some time ago is that you have a proper aperture ring here, and you do go all the way from 1.4 to f16 and the automatic lockout, which is nice. So if you want to shoot this in a fully automatic mode, it's pretty easy to keep it there and not bump into like f16, f11 on accident. The 35mm equivalent for this lens is 28mm, and I think that's a fantastic focal length. I really do like that for just mainly, you know, some landscape and maybe some street photography. It's going to be really good for those. Overall, I really like this. The autofocus is really fast on this lens. I found no issues with it. This is a pre-production model, so the firmware is not final for this lens. I did notice that it was really fast, and I think in video I would like it to be a little slower for more of a cinematic look, but that's something that you can adjust in the settings for instance, the X-T4. I took the lens out to the middle of the desert to do some night photography. Shooting with the X-T4 with the 18mm 1.4 was truly a great experience. I didn't know it, but I guess it was a supermoon that night that I went out, and it was so bright that you could see everything perfectly in the dark. The f1.4 aperture really helped keep the shutter speed fast and the ISO low. I found myself shooting at ISO 250 wide open at 1.4 with an exposure time of 10 seconds. This lens is going to be awesome for anyone interested in night and astrophotography. The focus ring on this lens is quite nice. It is really smooth and it's buttery. I have no complaints with it at all, other than the fact that maybe I wish it was not a fly-by-wire system and an actual manual focus system, but you know what? It is what it is. For the images that I shot, I actually went out to a couple of the Desert X exhibits that are local here to the desert. The first one we hit was this really cool cube project. I'll put more information about each exhibit down in the description if you are interested in checking them out. It runs for a couple months and it's kind of a treasure hunt. You get to go out to different spots and find these exhibits. The lens hood is a really cool design. I do like this style a little bit better than some of the other ones. It just goes on nice and easy, and it looks good. No complaints there. This is a 62mm filter thread, so it will probably work with a lot of the other filters out there for these lenses. I think most of the other ones for the 1.4 are 62 as well. If I'm wrong, I'll put them right here.